Brother, what's that? What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that? What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, what's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother? Brother, Yes, guys, welcome back to another episode of L Bins, where myself and Nobbins speak about the weekend football every Monday at 1 p.m. So make sure you're joining us every week for this show, man. Listen, we're going to be speaking about City at the weekend. What's happened to City, man? Because the first 3 games in the Premier League, we was cooking. And then since then, we've not really been cooking. We've not been bad. Like we've not lost any games. We're still unbeaten, which is great. But we're not at our best, and everyone can recognise that. We've not been at our best for 5 or 6 games. But if you do think back to those the first 3 games, the Chelsea game, Ipswich, West Ham, we played really, really well. What's going on here? Is it a tactical change? Is it because De Bruyne's not in the team? Is it because he's brought Walker back in for some of those games? Or is it just a bit unlucky? Are we a bit fatigued? What is it? Let us know in the comment section what you guys think. Make sure you get in your yeses in the chat. I'll give you the shout outs in a minute. But first of all, let me introduce today's Nobbins. It's Nobbins.
Hello.
Yeah, Bray.
I'm doing very well, thank you. Of course. Yes. Hey, undefeated. That's the way to look at it. We are only positive. Like, this isn't true. We're only positive out here. Yeah, we'll live in blind ignorance.
Thanks. Right, let's get some shout outs in here, man. Big up to Nax. Come on, City. Big up to Mad Hatter, Jess, Lauren, Roma, Big Dave. Big up to Musa, Ichigo, Gillies, Only Blue in the Village, Alfie, Alec, Balatubi, Colin. Big up to Osmodius, Capit, MCFC, User, Macolo, Alec, Pep the Goat, Chris, Beyond Belief, Football Edits. Who else we got in here? Citizen, Herbal, Blue Nose. Big up to Kayama, Colin, Denton, Sherwin, Staffy, and a few other people, man, as well. Big up to you guys. Make sure you are dropping a like on the stream. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel as well if you're new. Right, let me get the Man City results up, man, because listen, I want to know what's going on here because I think back to that Chelsea game, right? I think back to the Ipswich Town game and the West Ham game. I thought we played really, really well. Maybe we didn't play well for the whole 90 minutes. Maybe there were periods in the game where we didn't, right? But if you look at these fixtures, right? Where are we? Chelsea 2-0. I thought we played really well that day. Ipswich, we cooked. West Ham, we cooked, right? So first 3 games of the season, we cooked. Then Brentford, he brings back in Stones and Walker. And we were very lucky that day to win the game. I think every City fan would accept that because we should have probably been 3 or 4-0 down within the first 10 minutes. Inter Milan, listen, 0-0 against Inter Milan's not the worst result in the world. Did we play well? Not really. Arsenal's a difficult one to assess because so much happened in the game. We actually played really well for the first 20 minutes while Rodri was on the pitch. And then when Rodri went off injured, the rest of the first half, we were terrible. Second half, they sat on the edge of the box, but we weren't good in that second half. Right? We didn't know how to attack. Watford, not great. Newcastle was all right. Not terrible. No, it is what it is. Even Bratislava 4-0. A lot of people didn't think we played particularly well there. And then yesterday again, we were pretty lucky to win. If Adama Traore could score, we would have lost the game. So what's happened to Man City from these first 3 games where we played I think we played really well, especially for the time of season, start of the season, to these further 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches where we've not been particularly great? What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I don't fully know. I have a potential theory. So, and it sadly does all have to do with the not the direct, maybe not like the direct effect of the Rodri injury, but maybe more like indirect. So, for example, we were, even without Rodri in the team at the start of the season, we were playing very differently to how we are now without Rodri in the team, if that makes sense. And maybe the shift is because Pep was sort of willing to play in that maybe more, if you think like, Chelsea, West Ham, and Ipswich, I think it was. We were relatively open, but we were relatively fluid going forwards as well. And I think that a part of that is because it was a relatively open system, but maybe Pep was happy to do that because he knew, right, well, Rodri's coming back into this team in a few weeks. So I don't mind doing it now because it's a means to an end. So there might be some weaknesses now, but then Rodri will come back in and it'll be fine. So maybe he was happy to do that. But then the Rodri injury happened. And since then, it's almost like we've gone backwards in that, because we haven't really revisited the sort of same. It just doesn't feel the same. Like the players feel a little bit less willing to take risks in the same way. And again, I think that's because now that there is an acceptance that Rodri isn't going back into the team this season.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Therefore, Pep is now thinking, right, well, it's not like a short-term thing of, well, Rodri's come back into the team. No, he isn't. So now I need to change how we're playing and accommodate for that. And I think that in accommodating for that, i.e. by playing a more conservative team, basically, having both Bernardo and Grealish out wide, having against Newcastle a midfield which comprised of 0 offensive threats, having even against Fulham, having Bernardo and Grealish and Kovacic and Gundogan and Rico Lewis all on the pitch at once. Foden really is the only player there who you sort of associate with being that player who can create something. It's certainly in the more offensive phases. So I think that there's this desire for control, but the opposite effect is happening. It's almost like, do you remember like last season where you and I were like, we need to sort of lean more into the chaos, and we did, and we ultimately won the title. I feel like we've sort of gone backwards a little bit, and now we're back to where we were sort of like, January through to March of like last season or so, like where we were nervous and we were concerned, or the team clearly seemed to be. And again, by trying to have supreme control, it's not working. Like, again, the exact opposite effect is happening. So that's the only thing I can really think of, to be honest. Obviously, having De Bruyne out's not good, but
of course,
there's no way that's the only thing.
No, and I think I probably agree with you. I mean, if you look at those first 3 games that we played against Chelsea, Ipswich, and West Ham, and listen, before anyone says it was only West Ham, Ipswich, and Chelsea we shared the time, listen, we can only go off what we can go off. It's not my fault we didn't play Arsenal in the first 3 games, right? You know what I mean? Like, we can only go off the factual evidence that we have. And the best 3 games we played this year were the first 3 games of the season. Now, in the first 3 games of the season, we never once started with Grealish and Bernardo on the wings. The first game, it was Savio and Doku. The second game, it was, I think it might be Savio. No, it was Doku and maybe Grealish. And then the third one, it was Doku and Grealish again. I agree. I think Pep is going for this controlled approach, right? And I don't know why he's specifically doing that. Maybe he's worried about the midfield, but I think it does more harm. Yeah, I think it does more harm than it does good, because sometimes, right, if you have a vulnerability in life, you can sit there and go, right, well, how do we stop the vulnerability? And then you can find a solution to stop the vulnerability, but then by doing that, you're creating another problem. Yeah, sometimes you're best off just going, well, you know what? We're vulnerable. Like you kind of said, I remember the Chelsea game, we were mad exposed in the middle of the second half. We did better because if you remember in the second half, Bernardo Silva dropped basically next to Kovacic, and we basically played a double pivot in the second half. And after that, we controlled the game. The first half, we just let Kovacic in the midfield on his own, and he got exposed a number of times despite scoring a great goal towards the end. But that's how we played, and it was sort of like risk it. It was like we're gonna give the opposition opportunities, but we're gonna get loads of opportunities as well, because we're, like you said, we're leading into our attack. We're playing a bit more chaotic football. Whereas now it seems like we're going with Bernardo Silva and Grealish on the wings. Yeah, it seems to me like we're going for this control. We don't want the opposition to have the ball, but we're still conceding chances anyway. Yeah. And even if we do not concede many chances, our defenders are letting us down, unfortunately, which we spoke about before, and I'm sure we'll speak about again today. And we're not creating enough for Erling Haaland. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think the way to go from this now is to put Savio on the wing. I don't see why Savio can't do what Bernardo Silva does. Yeah, he can do what Bernardo Silva does right wing in terms of holding that ball, because he's that right winger. He's inverted. He can hold the ball. He's done that a couple of times already and impressed me. So, but he's also got that much better attacking attribute than someone like a Bernardo Silva. Now, whether you want to pair Savio with Grealish on the other side, or whether you want to put Doku on the other side, I'm not too fussed. I think you can, as long as you play Savio on the right, I'm not bothered about whether you play Doku or Grealish. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think there is a clear game where you need to play Grealish, maybe in a big game away from home, or maybe if you're at home against some lower league team, maybe you go for Doku. I'm not that fussed, but playing Grealish and Bernardo, neither of whom get any real GNA, is a massive problem. Yeah, because then you're putting all the reliability onto Haaland. And then guess what happens? You don't create for Haaland because Grealish don't create, Bernardo don't create, Kovacic ain't a great creator, and Gundogan's still finding his rhythm. And Phil Foden the same. He's not fully match fit. So for me, going forward, I really want to see us now lean into. I think we say this all the time. Really lean into our attack. Get Savio on this pitch. Why didn't he play at the weekend? I don't know. Maybe he had a knock. Who knows? For me, I don't buy the whole knock thing because I'm personally one of these where if you're on the bench, you're fit. If you're not fit, don't go on the bench. I think you've got to play Savio on the wing, pair him up with Doku or Grealish on the other side, and I think that'll give us so much more going forward that we currently have.
Yeah, because otherwise, again, if you look at that team against Fulham and you're looking at, right, well, who's going to create the chances for us? Again, it's only Foden, and as it turned out, he was our best creator on the day, and it's not reasonable to ask him to shoulder the entirety of that burden from those central areas. Someone else has got to be contributing, or out wide. And I actually think Bernardo did play well against Fulham, in fairness, but
I actually thought he did as well. He got cooked, but he did. Yeah. I thought he played all right.
No, I thought he did, but I still stand by what I said before the game, in that I still would have preferred Savio to play, because I don't think that Bernardo necessarily did anything in that game that Savio couldn't do. I think Savio is a lot better than I thought he was going to be, and out at right wing, for me, Savio can do everything Bernardo can do, basically, but there's a lot that Bernardo can't do that Savio can. So unless there's like an injury situation which we aren't aware of, in which case, obviously, that's a thing, but I can't really speculate on that because we don't have the information. As you said, he's on the bench, so one assumes he's available in some capacity. Going forwards, it's got to be one of Savio or Doku on the pitch every single time, outside of injuries, definitely. Of course, De Bruyne coming back into the team will help things. Of course, that's a thing. But there has to be a solution here. And just like the more I think about it, the amount of times, for example, I know we're going to get to the defence surely, but the amount of times where our midfield just... there was a 3-on-3. I think Grealish gave it away, funnily enough, because, we're playing a control-based winger and then we give it away in a dangerous area. Grealish gives it away. It's a 3-on-3. But that very, very, very quickly turned into a 3-on-2 because Kovacic just could not keep up because our midfielders are not runners. So
they're all old.
So it's a massive weakness in that respect. So we are sort of like doubling down again on this control thing. But if that doesn't work, like if our players misplace a pass, as Grealish did, that's going to happen throughout a game. You can't expect you to have 100% pass accuracy every single game. That would be insane. Then it's like we're doubling down on the vulnerability and frailty to counterattacks, which is and that's a good point. If you watch the the Bratislava game, I know it's only Bratislava, whatever, but I thought Nunes actually played well, and that's what Nunes does have about him. They had like a counterattack in that second half, I think, and Nunes got back rapid and quickly and cut that out like at source because he was able to eat up that space so quickly. Sadly, that's something that none of our other midfielders really have. Gundogan doesn't have that. Kovacic doesn't have that. And without Rodri's physicality and reading of the game there, it just makes us even more frail there. So for me, it's just like, I think we really do need to enter the market in January if we want to win this.
Oh, I've said this. I tweeted this article like last week.
I'm now locked in on that. I think I'm 100% on that.
Oh, I think honestly, for me, it's a no-brainer. I think anyone who thinks we don't need to go into the market. I mean, listen, you're all entitled to your own opinions and that, but I think if you don't think we need to go into the market, I don't know how you can think that. I mean, people were screaming out in the summer for us to buy a midfielder. We didn't. We got Gundogan on a free, which I think was a great signing. But then Rodri gets injured for the full season anyway. So we're back in square one. And that was, we need to buy a midfielder. So I don't get how can you say in the summer that we need a midfielder? We get Gundogan, but then Rodri's out for the full season, and now you're saying, no, we don't need a midfielder. Well, why did you want a midfielder in the summer then? Because basically the same things happened. We had one midfielder, yeah, Gundogan coming in, but then one's got injured. So we're back to the square root of we need one. We don't have enough players in there. And, I can't be asked speaking about Nunes, mate, because to be honest with you, like, I'm tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, let's be realistic. He's not going to feature much in the Premier League because the chance was there. He played well. He played well, in my opinion, against Bratislava. The chance was there to play against Newcastle because Pep even mentioned the physicality issue. Nunes is our only truly physical midfielder. He didn't play him. There was a chance to play him at Fulham where he played well against Bratislava. He didn't. So we sort of, I think, have to accept that despite like what the theoretical situation is, Pep clearly doesn't fancy him in that midfield.
Some people don't see it like that though. Some people just see it as a fans hating. I'm just using my brain, mate. He's played 21 minutes in the Premier League this year. I'm not saying he's irrelevant to the team because I don't like it. I'm saying he's irrelevant to the team because he's irrelevant to Pep because he's played 21 minutes all season. Now, hopefully, because I do genuinely want to see him be given a goal. Hopefully, Pep will give him a goal. But it's at this moment in time, clearly Pep isn't giving him a goal because he played 21 minutes in the Premier League. You know what I'm saying? So for me, we've got to go in the market. Who we go for at this moment in time is unknown. We're being linked heavily with Richie at Torino. We're being linked with Varela at Porto. We've been linked with Edison, I think, a few times, like at Atalanta. I don't know who it's going to be, but we have to sign someone. I think it'd be absolutely shambolic if the club don't sign someone, given the fact we needed a midfielder in the summer. We got Gundogan on, and now Rodri's out for the season. We're back to the same position. We have to go and get someone. But I want to ask you about our defence, right? But it does come. In fact, let me do the super chat first. Big up to Jordan. Says, big up, lads. Savinho brings control and creativity and should start nearly every week. Bernardo is needed in the midfield. I agree, John. I think Bernardo in the midfield is the way to go. It gives us legs, which we don't have. And I just think he's better in the midfield now. I think he's not showing any. It's funny, actually, because I agree with Nobbins. I actually thought he played all right against Fulham. I thought he was one of our better players. A lot of people still thought he was trash, but I generally think he played okay. But I think now his best position now is in the midfield. He put a great through ball through to Haaland in a game. I think it might have been the West Ham game when Paqueta lost the ball. I think that's his best position now. Get him in midfield because let's be honest as well. Great news that Kevin De Bruyne's coming back after this international break. He's going to get injured again, unfortunately. So you might as well just keep playing him as a midfielder. Big up for the super chat though, bro. Appreciate it. This is the thing, right? Our defense, and I asked the lads yesterday on the show. We're conceding goals now, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, the amount of goals we're conceding is poor. We're not keeping clean sheets, which is, I think, really, really bad when you're going for a title. You really need clean sheets because clean sheets get you those 1-0 shitty wins. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's a penalty or not, if you can keep a clean sheet at St. James's Park, you win the game 1-0. And this isn't hypothetical. I said it at 20 minutes into the watch along. I said we're winning this game 1-0 or bust because I knew we weren't going to score 2 goals, and that was the situation. What do you put this down to, this defence conceding these goals, mate? 4 clean sheets in our last 17, 4 in 13 if you don't include pre-season. Is it the defender? Is it the defensive shape? Is it the defensive individual errors? Is it goalkeeping errors? Is it the midfield? Is our midfield just not offering enough protection and they're just basically just leaving our defence wide open and the defenders are like, well, we're trying our best, but our midfield is giving us no protection? Is it a bit of a mix of both? Like, what are you saying, man? Because we are conceding far too many goals.
Sadly, it's everything, which is a massive shame. So there are individual errors. For example, we touched on it after the Newcastle game. I'm sorry, Walker shouldn't be in that position there. He should be playing him offside. But that comes about from a systemic error, or a systemic issue. Sorry. So I think it's both, and sadly they are compounding against one another. So from like a counter-attacking perspective, again, we're always going to be vulnerable to counterattacks, and that's absolutely the case. And we will never be truly good at dealing with counterattacks, so that's sort of accepted. But in this system we're playing, where it's like a 3-1-6, which we've discussed before, if you don't have, prime Fernandinho in that one, then you're always going to be vulnerable, basically. And if you don't have Rodri in there, who's fantastic at reading it defensively, we're always going to be vulnerable. So if you've got Kovacic in there, or if you've got Gundogan in there, all on their own, then that's, first of all, is a systemic issue in terms of being weak to the counter-attack. The other one is, I think there is a personnel issue where even when we're in a settled defensive shape, our defense, because I actually think our individual defenders have been quite good this season for the most part. I think Gvardiol has been brilliant. I think Ruben Diaz has been very good. I think Akanji's been very good for the most part. I know Lewis hasn't been perfect, but I think defensively he's been good for the most part as well. I think for me, it's mainly the midfield not providing enough support for the defence and the keeper. Again, that game against, who was it? I think it was a Newcastle again, where just Kovacic and Lewis, who were playing in the midfield, pivot that day off ball. They're just basically ball watching as and Newcastle players are just picking it up on the edge of the box with all the time in the world. I put that down to midfielders not really reading the game. There's only so much defenders can do. And because, a defender has to back off and go into their defensive shape, in which case they're relying on the defensive midfielder or whoever to support them. And it's not necessarily their fault because they don't have those instincts, because they aren't, true defensive midfielders off the ball. So I think it's a combination of things. I don't really know what the solution is to that, to be honest. I think
I got a solution. Can I throw it out there?
Yes.
Well, I have a solution, but then my solution, I don't like myself. Okay, first of all, I think we need to just go to a back four of centre backs.
So I know where you're going, and I agree with that. Yes, and that will help with the defensive structure, but there will always still be a midfield frailty because
no. I know. I agree. I'll come to that in a second. The reason I go to a back four of centre backs isn't because LB is just obsessed with the treble year. No, I'm not. Right. Well, actually,
we need a strong foundation.
I am obsessed with the treble year, but that's not the reason I'm saying it. I'm saying just get me 4 defenders in the back line that can win their 1v1 duels. Because if we can get 4 defenders in the back line that can win their 1v1 duels and just win the majority of their defensive jobs, and tasks, automatically that will help the situation. So I would play Manuel Akanji right back. Right?
Yes.
The problem that I have now is that I'd love to see Nathan Ake come back into the side. The problem that I have with that is, where do I put him? Because at the moment, Gvardiol's got that left side locked off. Do I put Gvardiol centre-back in a position that he's not really played at all for Manchester City? And he's also one of our best players right now. So, do I move one of our best players? Maybe you do. Maybe you say, right, you know what, Gvardiol? You've had your left-back time. You smashed it. But we need to adapt, not because of you, because the rest of the team ain't performing in a defensive capacity. And I need Ake left back. And I need to put you centre half. The reason I'm moving you to centre half isn't because you're doing bad at left back. It's because I think Ake can do probably a slightly better job than you defensively. Not as good a job as you going forward, but he can do a solid job left back. But you're also, at the moment, probably better than Diaz, probably better than Akanji, and probably better than Stones in form right now. Who do you play next to Gvardiol at centre-half? And do you even play Gvardiol at centre-half? Because I'm not even sure of that. All I'm sure of is I want to see four centre-halves. That's it. Who I actually play, the person I don't know, because they've all got problems. Diaz, I think Diaz has been good this year. I actually think he's been all right. I think he's getting
he's been more than all right. I think he's been very good.
Yeah, I think start of last season, I thought it was terrible and no one called him out. And then towards the end of the season, when he started getting better, everyone started calling him out. I thought it was bizarre. I think this year, he's actually been okay. Akanji defended like a fucking idiot for the first goal. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Not getting tight. Stones, I think I'd go Stones, but then he doesn't look fully match fit. And even him for the second goal, for Muniz's goal, what is he doing? Bro, there's no one in the box apart from one player. Go and mark him. And he just completely leaves him completely free. So at the moment, I'm kind of in a bit of a predicament of, I know in theory what I want to do. I know what the style of back four that I want, which is 4 solid defenders, but they've all, a couple of them have got issues. So I don't actually know what 4 I'd go for, because one minute I want Stones, then he drops a clanger in defence, and I'm like, bloody hell, what are you doing? Akanji's been pretty good, but then he defended like an idiot for the first goal, but that's just one mistake. He's not really made too many mistakes. Is it Gvardiol? Do you go Gvardiol and Diaz and then play Ake left back? Potentially, you've still got Gvardiol, can play through the lines, maybe push up into midfield. I don't know. All I know is that for me, I think I feel harsh on Rico because I don't think he's done much wrong. I think he was terrible first half, by the way, against Fulham, but I think he pulled it back massively in the second half. I don't think he deserves to be dropped, but I ain't dropping him because of something he's done, I'm dropping him because right now the team need is that we need players that can stop the goal going in the back of the net.
Yes, we need our most defending defenders, I think, is probably fair to say, as much as we can put them in. So, again, it's not fair to Lewis, who I think has been very good at right back. But we are, I think, until I tweet about this, until we remember how to keep clean sheets, I think Lewis, if he does start in the league, he should be starting as an 8 rather than, if he starts at all, indeed. So I would agree. I would have Akanji out at right back. I think he's just I think off ball, he's just better defensively there, to be honest. You've got to have Ruben Diaz in there because he is our best defender. He's our best box defender. I would like to see Stones there. I know he's still looked a little bit shaky. I'm hoping that's just, I'm hoping that's just down to sharpness, match fitness, whatever you want to use. International break now. You'd expect him to play for England, so hopefully get some good minutes there. And you would include Ake in that best defenders, but you can't drop Gvardiol because he's also done very well defensively, and he's Joško Gvardiol, so you've got to start him as well. Mm-hmm. But if you've got a solid base there, then you and I have touched on this before. You can then create a solid on-ball defensive structure by having a 3-2 base and having a defender join whoever the 6 is, whether it's Gundogan, whether it's Kovacic. So that might be probably Stones coming forwards most likely. Maybe Gvardiol could learn that role as well. But with that 3-2 base, that defensive 5, that is very solid from a counter-attacking perspective, and it should allow us to survive, whatever word you want to use, until January, and then we can explore options therein. But I think for now, we've got to have a more secure.
So would you go Ake then, Nobbins? Would you go Ake? Would you bring him back in or no? Are you hesitant in moving Gvardiol?
It's nearly impossible to play Gvardiol and Ake and Diaz in the same team because Diaz obviously has to play because if we're talking about being our best defenders, because he's our best defending defender, and you don't want Diaz as a wide centre back in our back 3 when we have the ball. Yeah. So you've got to think about it off ball and on ball. So for example, if you're like, oh yeah, just play Gvardiol and Ake Diaz, or Ake Gvardiol, I don't know, Diaz Akanji, then who's going into midfield then? That would only really work if you'd have Gvardiol left back, and then you'd have Gvardiol pushing up into midfield. Or
could you do could you do Gvardiol centre half, treble style, push him straight into the midfield like John Stones? That's what a lot of people in the chat are saying. Boy, why is no one saying Gvardiol midfield?
So
we'll push him into midfield like we did with Stones in the treble year.
My brain, yeah.
Because then you have Ake left centre back, Diaz is your centre back, and then you have Akanji right back. So basically, the only thing that changes is Ake is now playing left side of centre back.
The other thing that changes, I guess, is also off ball. Diaz is playing right centre back, but that's not an issue because he can do that. That's fine. It could work, but it's very reliant on Gvardiol being able to do the Stones role now, and I think he could be coached to do that definitely. But I mean, it sounds like Pep tried to do it last season, and he came out in an interview saying Gvardiol can't do that. So there's clearly some work still to be done. Is it ideal to trial that, when we're already having defensive issues? I'm not sure. That's why.
Try it against Sparta Praha.
I'd definitely like to see it 100%, yes. And if it can work, that gives us a massive option. Because if Stones, because I think Akanji last season did well in that role, as good as he could possibly do, but he's no John Stones in the Stones role, obviously. I think Gvardiol would make a lot more sense. So if he can be coached to do it, that would be brilliant. And then, you could have Ake, Gvardiol, Diaz, Akanji. That would work, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I think so. I think it would.
That would work. And I would again, you would just be taking Gvardiol, popping at centre-back. I can't remember the last time Gvardiol played off-ball centre-back for us. I don't even know if he ever has, to be honest. But it could definitely work that 100%. Yeah, that's another option. But it's reliant on Gvardiol learning the role and learning it quickly.
It is learning the role, but like you say, he does it with Akanji, and Akanji isn't the best. So my thing is my thing on that would then be, well, so long as he meets the Akanji level, then it's a win-win because you ain't getting worse by putting Gvardiol in there, and then you've got Ake at your left back, you've got Diaz in the middle, you've got Akanji right back, and you got Gvardiol. I think Gvardiol will be. I don't know, man. Obviously, I've never seen it before, so I have to just go off what I think. My views is that I think Gvardiol will be better at doing that midfield role than a Kanji. Is my personal opinion, because I think he's more willing to take risks on the ball, and I think that's fine. Pep, you should let him take risks on the ball, especially if you've got three players behind.
In terms of ceiling, I think he'd be better at it than Stones.
Well, potentially. I mean, who knows? You know what I'm saying? And listen, I think at the end of the day, right, we're in a situation where we kind of just have to try something, because you can't keep conceding these goals, and expect to have mad success, because we're just conceding far too many. We've got, Liverpool have conceded 2 goals all season. Arsenal have conceded 6. They've conceded 2 less than us. We need to be able to keep clean sheets. And when we're going into games doing pre-match score predictions, and I'm literally against no matter what team it is saying I'm not predicting a clean sheet. That's a worrying sign, because automatically you've got to score at least 2 goals to win the football match, and we're also not creating a great deal. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. I do think, listen, for me, I think the midfield is part to play. I think the defense just isn't cooking right now. I would make a few changes. I think the midfield for me is an issue. We need legs in there, man. It's so slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kovacic, Gundo.
And sadly, we don't really have an in-house solution outside of Nunes. And as we've discussed, that's not really a viable thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's not viable because Pep says it's not viable because he don't play him. So yeah, our midfield is an issue. We do need to go to the transfer market and get someone. We do need someone a bit younger. You know what I mean? We can't be buying another. This is why I'm against the Kimmich thing that people keep on saying. People keep on talking about Kimmich. Go get Kimmich in. Get Kimmich in January. Well, first of all, I don't think you're going to be able to get Kimmich in January anyway. That's unlikely, given the fact he plays every game for Bayern Munich. And he's in his 30s. Do we really want to be buying another 30-year-old? Like, if we buy another 30-year-old chat, or even like a 29-year-old, like, I just don't think that's the way to go. I think we've got to get someone a little bit younger, man. Even 28 is probably that's probably the oldest sort of age I'd probably go for it in a midfield. We've got to get someone with legs in there, because we are so slow. And yeah, Nunes does have that pace. Nunes does have that acceleration, and he's got the legs to get around. But because Pep don't play him, it's irrelevant speaking about him. So whether it's going to be Richie, listen, I've only seen Richie a couple of times. He looks okay. Is he the fastest guy in the world? Don't look like it, but he looks faster than Kovacic and Gundogan. But bloody hell, I'm faster than Kovacic and Gundogan, to be honest. I don't know, man. I do think this January window, the club have to go in the market, man. They do. They've got to get some fresh legs in that midfield. Adam Wharton, man, can't lie, bro. Like, I'm just not vibing with him. I know a lot of people like him in the chat. I don't know your thoughts on it. Every time I watch him, I think he's proper average, sometimes bad. So I don't know who it's going to be, but we've got to get someone, man. We've got to get someone. Who's sort of like, who would you go for? Like, realistic as well, like someone that you could get.
No, that's the issue. I don't know. I don't know. None of the names we've been linked to, I'm particularly big on. I know that, Richie you mentioned, but as I understand it, he shares the exact same weaknesses in terms of Kovacic and Gundogan, respective space eating. So that signing to me makes no sense. People talk about Barella, which is interesting, but as I understand it, he's a more advanced player rather than someone he'd want to be playing.
He seems like a Gundo replacement to me, bro.
Yeah. So I'm stuck. I don't know. Again, none of the names that are coming out, I've been like, yeah, that sounds good. I am a big fan of Wharton, but I'm waiting for a long enough sample size before I commit either way. I'm not 100% committing to him. That's why I wanted to wait for this season and then maybe explore that as an option in the summer, just to see how he gets on this year before I committed one way or another. The only one who I would want is never going to happen, as we all know. So I don't actually know what the solution is, to be honest with you. I'd like to think that the club would be looking at players anyway in the summer. And we've got to remember that it's got to be a player who we would have wanted to sign anyway. It can't be like a pure Rodri, because there is no Rodri replacement, because Rodri's coming back. Whether he's going to be as good or whatever after his injury, he's coming back. So this player that we sign has to be able to play alongside him and ahead of him, and also instead.
Well, Richie can do that. Richie can do that. That's why I think it's going to be Richie.
But also complement his weaknesses. That's the other thing as well. And if Richie's got the same weaknesses as Kovacic, then for me that's not complementing Rodri's weaknesses. That's why I don't think the signing makes sense.
I think Richie, for me, is probably gonna, like, based off at the moment. If I had to say, if you said to me, LB, who do you think City are gonna sign? I probably would say Richie. Why? Why? Because we're being linked with him. The Torino director spoke about the deal yesterday or Saturday, whenever it was. Richie spoke about the deal. Yeah, he can play 6 and he can play 8. He played 8 against Inter Milan. So for me, I just look at that and think that just stinks of a Manchester City move. But yeah, listen, it's a tough one, man. This midfield, because the midfield market is interesting because there are players out there available. Yeah, it's not like there's no one out there. There are players out there, but everyone that we're being linked with, we're just not sure. We're just not sure. If I said to the chat, right, chat, we're signing Richie, you're buzzing on now. It'd probably be very split. If I did Varela, the chat would be very split on Varela. If I did Edison, to be fair, Edison's probably one actually where I think a lot of people do want him, but again, it'd be split. Wharton would be mad split. Atlanta.
Okay.
But like, there's no one out there where like even 65% of the viewers or City fans are like, yeah, get him. It's like, it's mad split, like 50-50 every time. Like, and that's because there's no obvious answer. There's no one out there that's obvious to go and get. Because that's just the way the market is. You look around the Premier League. Is there anyone in the Premier League that we could go and get?
There was in the summer because he had a release clause, but he would have been perfect. I'm just saying, I'm never going to let that go, chat. I'm never going to let that go. That literally would have been the signing. Like Rodri, ACL. Oh, that's a shame. But hey, this guy's literally perfect. So, but that didn't happen. So Nobbins is sad.
Chat, give me some names in the chat, yeah, of players that are at top clubs, yeah, i.e. a top player that we can get. It's going to cost us money, but we need to go and get some. Let me know in the comment section. Big up to Mark, man. I've just seen this now. Big up for the 5 gifted. Guys, get some more W's in the chat if you've not already done so already. Let's get some 5 W's in for Mark for the gifted. Appreciate the ongoing support, Mark. I massively appreciate it. Big up to LB as well. He says Ake can't run no more. His hamstrings are made of glass. That's a problemo. If that's true, we'll see. He's back after the international break. Spend the war chest on Camavinga. He's my dream player, man.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, like, Camavinga for me, I think is just fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I think he'd like be perfect for Pep because he can play anywhere.
Yeah, I thought he was Real Madrid's best player in those Champions League knockout games, to be honest. I thought it was fantastic. I'm a big fan of him. He's obviously never going to leave Real Madrid.
And he's got a mad contract. I think he's got a contract for like another like 4 or 5 years or something. So it's going to be tricky, but he would be amazing. Yeah, listen, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyone available in South America on the cheap? I don't know, man. There's that Mastuano everyone keeps on raging about at River Plate. But he's only young. I think he's only like 17, 18. And again, do you really want to be bringing in a 17, 18-year-old? I mean, maybe you do. I mean, if he's good enough, get him in there. But yeah, so Fabian Ruiz, I like Fabian Ruiz, but
the sort of player that we're after, the club showed their hand in terms of like the sort of player they're after. They're after a Bellingham and a Rice and a Bruno Guimaraes, that sort of profile of player. So that's who we should be being linked with. So I'm very confused as to why we're being linked with players who aren't quite like that anymore, because we still need that profile in the squad, but we've seemed to have moved away from that with players like Richie, who's like not like that at all.
He's a completely very
confused.
Player. Probably because we've got Gundogan,
who I'm very happy with as a short-term option for a year, but who I'm not happy with now that Rodri's injured for a season.
Maybe here's a thought, right? Let me just throw this out there, right? So we wanted Jude, right? But maybe if they're going to be going for Wirtz or Musiala in the summer, then that's the reason they're getting someone like a Richie or a more sort of DME type player, because then they can get you get your Musiala, you get your Wirtz, but then you don't really need maybe a Bruno because you've got Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, and Musiala. So that's why you're going to go for more of a 6 who can play 8, maybe.
Yeah, I still feel like there's a massive physicality issue there, though. It's only really Rodri who's offering that, and there's still a running issue there as well, because Rodri's not offering that, really.
What about Musiala? Musiala could. I mean, it's not looking likely at the moment. It sounds like he's going to sign, but he can do a bit of running, and he's physical, big lad.
But he's not. But he's going to be positioned more advanced, isn't he? I don't really want Musiala to be thinking about having to track back and be more of a defensive player. He definitely could do that physically, but I don't know if that's really what I'd want, to be honest.
O'Reilly's right there. He's physically and technically good enough to play alongside Gundo or Kovacic as a double pivot and technically good enough. Experience is the only issue. I mean, he's physical and he's tall. He's a big lad. He's good on the ball.
Hasn't he played less minutes in the league than Nunes, though?
Yeah, but could you give him a try?
Maybe you could, but it goes back to what we were saying earlier. You could give Nunes a try, but we all know it's not going to happen. So in terms of this season, is that going to happen? I think it's even less likely, to be honest.
Yeah. No,
I like the idea of trialing it, but if we're trying to look at it from the perspective of what would Pep do, I don't see that. I'd like to give it a go, though. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Big up to Zin Calais as well with a 5 months. Says Gundogan was a situational. Would we have signed a different midfielder if Gundogan wasn't pushed out? I don't think we would have done. We would have been screwed, bro. This I don't even want to think about this, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you, mate. I don't even want to think about this sort of potential because someone else asked me that. Said, LB, you reckon if Gundogan, we didn't get Gundogan, would we have signed anyone? I said, fuck me, mate.
We weren't going to, were we? We weren't going to.
Well, it didn't look like it. You know what I mean? We weren't. I don't think we were being linked with many midfielders after sort of Bruno signed a new deal. So let's just say, thank God we did. I mean, everyone's cooking Gundo, mate. Just be glad we got him, mate. Because if we didn't sign him, bro, we could have been absolutely muddied.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why it's so weird that we were happy with the current squad. I just thought that was wrong. I was happy with the Gundogan signing because that's what was on offer at the time. It's nothing or Gundo. Obviously, I'm going to be ecstatic with the jump from nothing to Gundogan, of course. But if you say at the start of the window, right, we're going to re-sign Gundogan and no one else in midfield, are you happy with that? No, because I know the player that we need. So it's a short-term fix, fine. But obviously, it's not.
I see. This is the thing. I wasn't that. I thought the window was okay. I give it like a 7 out of 10. I think.
It was okay.
Because I thought it was all right. I thought like at the end of the day, like I couldn't predict that ACL injury for Rodri was going to keep him out for the full season and Bob was going to break his leg. I mean, they're pretty two extreme injuries.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm not going to do revisionism. I didn't think it was a great window, but I thought it was okay. Like I said, I think I give it a 7 out of 10. My thing is now though, and I know a lot of City fans, by the way, didn't think it was a good window, and I understand why a lot of City fans didn't think it was a good window. I thought it was okay. My thing is now though, my thing now is very much on the future. January, yeah, like the club have to spend money, man. You got to buy someone. Like it's not good enough, yeah. Spending 25 million in the summer, putting everyone's ticket prices up, charging everyone more and more and more, squeezing as much as you possibly can out of the fan base. And then when you desperately need a player in midfield in January, you just go, nah. Like you've got to go and get someone, man. Now, who that is, Barella. A lot of people say Barella. Now, no, Barella's not an out-and-out 6, but he's a top quality midfield player. He's a top quality midfield player. And if you could go and get him, I'd be game for it. He doesn't fully fix our issue of 6, but like he has played 6 before. He's played it a number of times for Inter Milan. Can you get away with him until the summer and then maybe go for a proper DM? I don't know.
What's his running power like, chat or LB?
I think he's a pretty energetic guy, to be fair. But I think he's more
I don't watch into consistently, so
yeah, he's more of a technical baller, man. But like, I think he has got a little bit of like running power about him. But he's more of a techie baller.
Yeah, it's not really what I'm. That doesn't move me. You get me?
You want a runner?
It might be just because I'm obese, but that doesn't move me.
You want a runner, someone who can run with the ball.
I need Nunes with a good first touch.
You want Fernandinho, don't you?
Oh. Run it back, 2017. He's still going, isn't he? Isn't he? He said, are there any South Americans out there? Isn't he still playing?
Fernandinho.
I know his legs are gone, but if we can if we can, give Fernandinho surgery, we can pop Nunes' legs on Fernandinho's body.
He's still playing.
Boom.
He plays for Atletico PR. Bro. No joke. Yeah, his contract ends in January this year, bro.
Boom.
His contract ends in January this year.
Right, there we go. That's the one. That's the one. We have surgery to put Nunes' legs onto Fernandinho. Have a look. We loan out his legs for half a season. Boom. Easy mode. That's how we do it. Yeah, because basically what I'm after is, because if you look at our midfielders, Kovacic, Gundogan, Lewis, Foden, De Bruyne. I think that's it. Bob when he comes back. If you want to look at centrally, there's not really any. There's a lack of physicality. There is a lack of running. There's also a lack of duel winning, and there's a lack of second ball winning as well. That is what I think needs to be replicated, because Rodri was basically doing all that shit. He was doing all the physicality and all the duel winning and all the second ball winning.
Yeah,
I'm not doubting effort in respect of trying to win duels and try, because I thought against Newcastle we did really well in that respect. They tried so hard despite not being physically gifted. But that is what I am after in the midfielder that I want.
Do you like Pavlovic at Bayern Munich? I mean, it'd be difficult to get him out there, but
I do like him a lot.
I clocked him last year. I turned on Bayern Munich game last year. I think they were playing United or someone. I can't remember who they're playing anyway, but I turned it on, and I seen him. And the first time I ever seen him last year, I was like, he'd be fucking perfect in our team. Tall, strong, good on the ball, can run with it, can shoot with a long shot. Like, he's literally perfect for what we need, but I don't think you're going to be able to get him out of Bayern, that.
No, probably not. Unless Vinny wants to, do as a cheeky solid. If Pep's leaving, if he wants to, do a basically saying, right, Pavlovic, I'm going to be City manager in 2025. You just go over there, chill out, and then
Verratti? Do you like Verratti?
Link back up. He's going to be more of a sort of technical player, but I'd question the physicality situation with Verratti personally.
What about Kante?
Isn't he 87?
Bro, he's still mint, What about Pogba on a free? Genuine question: would you get Pogba back on a free transfer? I know he's 31, but he's a free transfer.
Yeah. No. I don't know what I'd rather have. I would rather Fernandinho than Pogba.
Really? No.
Yeah. Pogba stinks of piss, man. Don't give me that shit.
31, bro. He's literally everything that you just described.
No, he's not.
No. Physical, good on the ball, can carry it, can long shoot.
I don't want Pogba.
And if you
Pogba's
believe
not going in my team. Pogba's not going in my team.
If you believe the leaked emails from 115 FC, we actually had a deal agreed to sign him before he went back to United. Because on the emails, they're emailing Abu Dhabi or whatever saying we need the money because we're signing Pogba.
I think Pogba might be the most overrated player in the modern era. I'll be so real with you.
Okay.
Pogba, I really dislike Pogba as a player.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. Listen, it's interesting. I don't know who else we could get, to be honest with you. I struggle. I think we're going to end up with someone that a lot of the fan base don't like in January. Like, I don't think we're going to be signing anyone in January. And everyone's like, yeah, fucking buzzing. We're going to sign someone. And a lot of the fan base is just going to be like, nah, not happy with this. You know what I mean? Because like I say, like everyone that I've mentioned, there's always people who are saying no. But like, it's a large split. It's a large split, man. It's a tough one.
No, yeah. And again, the names we're being linked with, they don't really... I mean, we're saying all this. If you ask me my prediction, I will think that we're going to sign anyone. That's my prediction. Nah,
we got to sign someone. That would be... I'm not going to lie, that would be horrific if we don't sign him.
I agree we should, but my prediction is we won't.
Nah,
do you think we'll sign someone?
Yeah, I do think we'll sign someone.
Okay, how sure are you of that?
I'm 99.9999%
right.
sure.
I bet you 5 pennies that we will not sign a starting midfielder in January. Do you want to take that
bet? Starting midfielder.
So yes, I'm not talking about someone who's going to go in the EDS and he's like a child. He's like
no. I'm talking about we're signing a midfielder that's going into our first team.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I bet
we have to sign someone, bro. Like,
I bet you 5p we won't. 5p we won't.
I accept the bet. We had defo sign someone.
Should we up it to a pint?
Huh?
Should we up it to a pint? Do you want to go really frisky here?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I bet you already owe me one. We've already signed someone. We've already signed someone. Big up Joe Mac. I'll take a Guinness, please, Nobbins. We've already signed someone. Buzzing. Yeah, we've got to sign someone, man. But listen, I know you're on another stream, so we'll wrap it up. Make sure you guys are smashing up the likes, people. Come on, over 600 people locked in right now. Let's get those likes up. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. You can subscribe to Nobbins' channel as well. The link is in the title of the video, wherever the title is on your stream. And let's see what happens, man. You know what I mean? We've got to sign someone in January, lads. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later on, 7 p.m. LB and Hugh Murray are getting on it, man, tonight. See you